Hi, everybody. I'm Mike, and this is Mike Miller Talks Life. Today's quote: "You will never find a truly happy, self-centered person. They simply don't exist." Have you ever felt kind of down and for no obvious reason, just kind of in an unhappy mood, and you can't really figure out why? I challenge you to take a look at the day, back over your day, and to see how much of that day was totally about you. How you feel, what you want, how people have treated you. Because sometimes we are simply too self-centered, and the result is unhappiness. The greatest addiction that we face in our society is the addiction to self, the need to make everything about us. This is a big problem. And it is not saying that we don't need to take care of ourselves. Self-care is essential. And self-care is being a good steward of what we have, who we are. We need time to replenish, to refuel, to reconnect to what's really important in our life, to rebalance ourselves so that we have a healthy life, so we have what we need to go through life and to help others and to grow in our own self. But being self-centered is pretty different. A self-centered person is someone who is operating from a deficit, and they're desperately trying to fill that deficit. And it causes them to always be involved in their needs, their interests. Their actions and behaviors show a concern only for themselves. They want all the attention. They want to make every conversation about them because they have this core need for love and acceptance. So they would say something like, "Hey, I'm sorry to hear your mom has cancer. That's just horrible. I'm sure you'll be taking her to treatments, but does that mean we won't be able to keep carpooling?" Can you see the insensitivity there? The self-centered can grab the focus and make things about them. And they can even leave us wondering why we even bothered to talk to them in the first place, because we feel yucky after being with them and talking. The self-centered are often selfish. And so we have an excessive interest and concern in oneself and a lack of concern or consideration for others. They're kind of like the people who are going to grab the last piece of pie when there are others who haven't had any. Our church used to have some great socials and church dinners and potlucks. And these were always just a great time to be together and to enjoy our church family. But one of the interesting things at these dinners were the lineup, to get in line to get the food. And man, it was really competitive for some to get into the front of the line so they could be first to get through and pile their plates with food. And it wasn't just the kids. There were adults battling to get up in the front, thinking of themselves, trying to get their plate filled first. Our quote says, "You will never find a happy, self-centered person. They simply don't exist." We think that focusing on self would make us happy, but it isn't working. The self-centered are working from a deficit, a void. We have core needs that aren't being met, and we can't meet these on our own. Psychologists, psychiatrists, and other mental health professionals tell us that self-centeredness and selfishness, if unchecked, can lead to a root cause of addiction, anxiety, depression, damaged, broken relationships, a lack of empathy, narcissism, This self-absorbed, self-centered living is keeping us trapped in a world of my and me. My past, my problems, my needs, my treatment from others, what about me? Pretty miserable, right? It's amazing. And it's amazing what a big problem this is. And how miserable these people really are. They're no fun to be with. They have no real close friends. They're probably not picked to be on the team or to go on the trip. They're not happy. They're not really enjoying their life. And potentially, they could slip into some serious issues mentioned by the mental health community. So that's a major yike. What a mess. No wonder they aren't happy. Are you kind of self-centered? I have to be honest and say, yeah, I get there. How often do you interpret conversations and situations as being about you when they're not? How open are you to hearing other people's opinions that differ from yours? And when someone is telling you about their bad day, do you quickly jump in and tell about your bad day experience? Or when someone is sharing good news, do you just celebrate with them? Or do you try to top their good news with your good news? Do you consider friendships as a tool for getting what you need? Well, these are some common symptoms that we could be on the track to full-blown self-centered, selfish behavior. And we want to break out of self-centeredness. We want to get away from it. I think this is a spiritual problem. It's not a self-help book kind of problem. It's not digging deeper to find this and chisel it out of your core of your life. It's not a lot of counseling. No. These things can help us, but this problem is a deep spiritual problem in every person's life. And it's interesting that some psychologists believe that there is a spiritual need that isn't being addressed, that is fueling this self-centered behavior. I have come to believe 5 core truths. And these are pretty simple, but they're life-changing. I am loved. I have value. I am accepted. I have a purpose. I can have influence and make a difference. These core truths are not something I dreamed up. They come from my faith in God. By faith, I am spiritually connected to God. This connect has helped me understand the gracious act of God when his son was crucified on the cross, was buried, and rose 3 days later. This act of sacrificial love showed how much God cares. And it is the key, by accepting that by faith, to becoming connected to God. And these 5 core truths flow out of what God did and understanding how God really feels about people. I am loved because he loved me. I have value because he paid a tremendous price to set me free and to enter a relationship with him. I am accepted. He says, come. Put your faith in me. Have a spiritual relationship with me. I have a purpose. He created good works for me to do. I can have influence and I can make a difference. He says that people who believe in him are salt and light. So you see, if God didn't care, if God didn't love us, if we didn't matter to him, then none of these things would be true. If he was only mad at us and wanted us to be punished and gotten rid of, then that would be totally different. But he he doesn't feel that way. He went to a lot of trouble to show his love, show how much he values us, to offer acceptance, to grant us a purpose. 5 core truths. I'm loved. I have value. I am accepted. I have a purpose. I can have influence. I can make a difference. These are the base that I work from in my life. I am not working from a deficit. I am not working to get these things. They are true. I've accepted them. So I'm free to love. I'm free to care for and enjoy others. I can enjoy happiness. I can look at life problems as not a threat to who I am. They might be hard. Those problems might be scary and feel overwhelming, but they don't threaten my identity and the truth about me. Once these are true, once these 5 core truths are your truths, and once you put your faith in God and they become real to you and true about you, then it just sort of frees you up to serve people, to choose to do things for other people just because they have a need. You're free to check on friends and family just to see how they're doing. You're sort of motivated to volunteer in some project to help make a difference. And you're free just to listen to people and keep the conversation going about them, just to hear about them and what's happening in their life. No longer operating from a deficit. And when I and you, if you're a believer, slip back into self-centeredness, you can recover because the truths have not changed. We have just begun to pull away from them and overlook them, and we start sliding right back into self-centeredness. So it's a time to regroup and refocus on what's true about you. Our quote says, "You'll never find a truly happy, self-centered person. They just don't exist." I totally agree with that. But that condition of self-centeredness is a spiritual problem that God is the solution for. Hey, thanks so much for listening. I hope this has been helpful to hear about the problem of self-centeredness that we all struggle with, but also hear what could be a solution, that it could be a spiritual problem. And if it is, there's hope. So hopefully it was good for you and helpful and stir some thinking for you. If you liked it, I hope you'll click like. If this is your first time, I hope you'll subscribe. It's always fun to see the number of subscribers grow a little bit. And if it's something that you think might help somebody you know, you're free to share that and have them listen to it and think about it. So until next time, I hope you have a good week. Thanks.